Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before I begin, I want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank my anchor sponsors, Jake and Sergio. Thank you guys for sponsoring the podcast. I also want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure to contact David Gastelum at 760-235-9576. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience. He will not only sell you your property, but teach you along the way in one of the most important investments you will make. You can also find David Gastelum on Facebook. Just search for his name or just give him a call, 760-235-9576. I also want to thank everybody out there in the front lines, doctors, nurses, truck drivers, our kitchen workers, our restaurant workers, making sure that we have food, pharmacists, who else? Anybody out there, cops, our border patrol, our COs, or everybody that's still working, that's, called essential workers, and there are many in the front lines. Also want to thank our teachers and our school staff that are still trying to teach our students and keep them safe. Also want to remind everybody to shop local. We're going through some hard times, and our local businesses are some of the most affected ones, and some of our neighbors and our friends. So make sure to reach out to them, make sure if they're still open. Make sure to shop from them. Even like food, you can get takeout or delivery. So make sure to contact them. And today's guest is, a really good friend of mine. We've known each other since, junior high probably. She's an English teacher at Calexico High School and also an AVID teacher. She's also an amazing softball coach and an overall great Calexican. My guest today is Mrs Jennifer Lopez, otherwise known as J-Lo. Jenny from the block. What's up, Jenny? How you doing?
Hey, hi, Jose.
How's it going?
It's going, managing, adjusting to the new normal.
It's crazy. We're talking about, that I just went for groceries, and, our routine now is getting home and cleaning stuff that we normally just put away in, our pantry or our fridge. So yeah,
well, I usually go out every 10 to 12 days. We kind of stock up, but on Saturday I went to Food for Less, and I had no clue that they have this new protocol where you can't take in your grocery bags. You're not allowed to take anything from home into the store. So I was asked to go take my bags back to the car. And I asked, well, how am I going to bag my stuff? And the worker said, well, you can keep it in your cart or buy new bags. But he said, don't buy new bags, just pack it all in your car. And that was a process too. It's like you stock up, and here I am trying to stock up for a good 10 days. So you can imagine how my cart looks like. And then you go and you put everything so they can scan, and then you got to put everything in your cart. And then you got a bag in your car, and then you come home and load to clean all this stuff. No, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I heard that, they weren't recommending you use, the reusable bags. Maybe wait a little bit because of, if you bring something into it that's contaminated, you're going to bring it into your house or whatnot. So yeah, whenever I go to the online shopping at Walmart, I always get new bags. So I have I have this bunch of new bags, and because I have this little area in my house where I keep all the
contaminated stuff.
They're in quarantine stuff. I have a little quarantine corner at home, so I have a bunch of new bags there. I've been trying to reach to all of my teacher friends and kind of see how they're doing, see how they're dealing with this whole distance learning, and I want to ask you how you're doing with your, in terms of reaching out to your students. How are they, managing that?
Well, I teach seniors, so it's very unique. When we have meetings, or even I have friends that teach at multiple grade levels, and it seems that the younger kids are more receptive of going on to their online learning. I think for a good amount of seniors, they are possibly in the grieving process. It's their senior year has come to a halt. We left thinking we were going to go back April 20th, just like Mr. Nunez said in his interview, like the idea was to come back right after spring break. And so I think the senioritis, as they call it, kind of trickled over, and they weren't being too engaged in the online learning process. But for the most part, I can see that they either logged on or they would send me a message. I did put an announcement and I said, hey guys, if I see no activity, I got to turn your names into the office. And then immediately I would get messages like, what's going to happen? I'm like, we're going to send the FBI over and hunt you down. But then I just said, just tell me if you're live, if you're okay. And I think it's just different for them. You know, they do have a lot of emotions. I'm pretty sure at first it was like, yay, we have a longer vacation. But then when the verdict came down that we're not going back, it hit them hard. It really did. I did get messages that they were crying. Some of them were distraught. Some of them just said, like, my whole life I've been waiting to walk.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the way I've been communicating with them is trying to send out messages through Google Classroom, some general tweets. But that's pretty much it.
Do you feel that your students are active on Twitter? Like, at least on your...
No, because every year there's a point in time, like when we do like this little challenge, like the kindness week, that's when I give out my Twitter account. This year, some kids found me just by the sake of, I don't know, through a retweet or something, and they located me. But this year, a lot of them, I didn't give out my Twitter account. We have a visitor. And I'm considering, because it is like my teacher Twitter account, of just putting it on my Google Classroom and saying like, hey, you know what, I will be doing some general announcements through here and see if they're receptive. But there's not a lot of, you would be surprised. I think it's a 50-50. There's some kids that are actively involved in Twitter, and then others that aren't. It's not their thing.
Yeah, because the people that I've, like, people from our age aren't really active on Twitter, but with Chris, my son, I remember he would tell me that a lot of his friends were more into Twitter, than Facebook or any other social media.
Yeah. Ask you. Sorry.
What are some of the...
That's what happens in all my Google meetings, by the way.
No, everybody knows your son now. How are some of the ways you're like managing, like, being away from your students? Because I know I would swing by every so often in your class, and you're a really popular teacher with with seniors. They would come in and spill the tea and chat with you. How are you managing, being away from them, and how are they? Have they reached out, on a one-to-one basis with you?
I have had a good group of students on a one-to-one basis that have reached out. A lot of them asking questions, and there's a lot of hearsay, like, before we close down the school, and then especially like if one district sends out a newsletter first or puts out some information, they kind of don't understand how it's going to trickle down. So I have had a lot of students reach out like, hey, Ms. Lopez, what's really happening? And I always refer them back to our district announcements. And then I have had some where they needed that emotional support, but it's been really difficult. I mean, it's your home away from home. I mean, we feed off human relationships, some of us, and the way I manage, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just scroll through my phone sometimes to look at pictures, and it's like, oh my God, like, here they are here, and this is what we did. Pretty much it. I am pretty close to our AVID cohort group of teachers, and we do have this group message, and we're often just talking about classroom stuff, trying to stay as normal as possible, even if it's just through a group message, because it has been very difficult. I heard your interview with Mr. Nunez, and he did say, like, we were thinking when we left, we were coming back April 20th. Mm-hmm. And I think naively enough, it was just our optimism. A lot of us thought, yeah, we're going to go back. And that didn't happen. So it has been difficult. It hasn't been easy. I think I too, like Mr. Nunez, at first I was like, okay, like mentally, you just have a longer spring break, right? Mm. So that first week or those first 2 extra weeks, I was just doing some spring cleaning in the house. I would have some extra time to do some things. Life slowed you down for a reason. But then when that verdict did come out that we're not going back, it was hard. I had also a good 2-3 very difficult days that I couldn't believe that was probably going to be our last day of school. I'm still very hopeful that, I don't know, even if we go all the way down to May and we can at least come back 1 week in June, just to everyone kind of part ways, give our blessing to kids some closure, because Mr. Nunez did say, like, there's no closure. And I was just telling my husband earlier today, like, I can't believe we're almost going into summer, yet we didn't finalize a school year. That's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's gonna be even weirder, like coming back and like seeing everything, like everything's gonna like it's stuck in time, right? Like we left, and everything's gonna be the same. We left it, and then but yeah, you're gonna have new faces coming in. And
yeah, that's true. I never thought about it. It's like stuck in time. You're gonna go back mentally thinking that it's 2019, 2020, but physically you're in the new school year.
2021, yeah.
And then I also heard that the new building is being constructed, and we did get an email, a list of us teachers who are going to be going to that new building. Seems like it's going to be the English department, and that's also, I mean,
you're going to be in the new building.
Yeah, and that's also a change in the environment for all those teachers who are moving. Like, you have all these memories in this one building or the classroom where you're known to be that room, whatever, you know where to be found. And it's going to be a shift as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, like the thing is that in August that should be ready to go for everybody to yeah. So, wow, that's crazy. What's something that you miss the most from your classroom and being away from your students?
They kind of keep you relevant, whether it's it's music, whether, I mean, you just have different set of human beings with different likes, with different interests. I mean, you like our classes, even though, I mean, we're all mostly the same race, right? I mean, our demographics are pretty much the same. We're not like a lot of high schools where there's a lot of diversity, but within your classroom, there's a lot of diversity on just points of views, likes, dislikes, the way our students think. And it's just having to hear what they have to say. Every day is a new day. I mean, as much as your routine is a routine, but you get something different every day. And I miss that. I miss the routines. I heard one of your interviews, and you have this routine of how you just go about your day, even by where you park. It starts by then. Like, there's these unwritten rules on campus. We're like, okay, you can't park there because even though that teacher isn't here yet, that's their spot, right? So so there's these unwritten rules at our school, and just finding I found a new parking space in the new parking lot, right? And then it's just where I walk, the proctor who's there to greet you in the morning, the aides that are there waiting for students. Like, if I just close my eyes and go about my morning, like, there's my routine. And then I have the same 3 students that are there early, waiting at the door. One holds my coffee, one holds my bag, and I open the door. And then you have the students who come in early, and then the students who are getting there right when the bell rings. And I do have a student that he has a ritual where he taps the top of our door before going in. So there's just little things like that you miss that are no longer part of your daily routine. It's like my daily routine has shifted, beginning with the time I wake up.
Yeah, exactly. Like the time you wake up and you go to bed. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've missed. Just it's crazy that it's gone to the point where like I miss waking up early and starting my day early and being tired at a certain time. That way I can go to sleep early.
Yeah.
I'm it's starting to get to me. So, but yeah, it's crazy that little things like that we at times kind of hate. They're like, oh, it's Monday, I have to wake up early.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, man, I wish I was at work today.
Yeah.
Because something we were talking about, and something that I want to ask you is like, you have 3 kids. One of them is in high school, the other one's junior high, and the one's in kinder. Now that you're at home, you're expected to help with homework, with your kids' homework, with your students' homework, and also be mom and wife and clean and cook. Everything at the same time now. So it's kind of crazy. Huh?
It is. You would think the whole, you're working at home is easy and there's an advantage. And there really isn't, especially if you wake up late. If you wake up late, the day goes by so fast. They're eating breakfast, and you really have to try to stay as much in a routine as possible if you're going to be productive. And for a good set of time, we're good. The girls have a wake up time, and by a certain time they're eating, and they have to have their work finished by 2, the latest 3 o'clock. And then they can go about their day. But if you wake up late, that organization, that plan is just out the door, and you kind of feel it. Like, it's like, oh my God, like we're running late. But it is an adjustment because I have 3 kids at 3 different grade levels. Like you said, one at high school, one at junior high, and one in kinder. For the most part, my oldest girls, they're pretty self-sufficient. They're independent. They've been doing Google Classroom online platforms for the most part for a good chunk of time as students. So they know how to get on. They know how to be productive. My adjustment is my kindergarten student child, because it's all of a sudden you're the kinder teacher. And I came to realize really quick, like there is a reason why I teach secondary. There's the patience. And not only that, don't get me wrong, the amount of work that he gets, it is a lot for him. But it's easy for a parent to support a kindergartner. But what the adjustment has been is he's not in the mindset that home is school. Mm-hmm. He's in that mindset that home is fun. Like, why do I have to sit here for long periods of time? Like, why do we have to do this stuff? And then they give us like even PE routines or the songs where he has to dance, and he's dancing in the living room. And for the most part, he has fun, but the first couple of days, it was really hard for him. It was like, why do I have to do this here? Why am I sitting here? And it's my hands tired. And then I remember one day they told us he had to practice his numbers 1 through 100. And he's like, it's going to take a long time. I don't want to get to 100. So that's what I deal with.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I guess you learn when you go to kinder, that from this time to this time, when you're in this building or in this setting, it's schoolwork, and, it's, even though they might not do hard things all day, but, that they know that, there's certain times for work, certain times to play, certain times to, but when it's at home, like you say, it's, they've had fun, or they haven't done homework and at home, never. And now you're asking them to start doing, homework. They still can't grasp the reason why they're doing, classwork at home.
Yeah. And the adjustment has also been that at times I did even neglect the amount of time I had to sit with them, because I had to figure out what I was going to do for my students. And I had to make sure that I was planning, or not only that, but logging onto our emails. We have had meetings. So my time with instruction for him has also been interrupted with things that I have to do, or my obligations as a teacher. And I found myself a couple of days ago scrolling down my pictures, because I remember during open house that I took pictures of the walls in his kinder classroom, and I was trying to find that schedule that the teacher had. From like 9 to 10, they did this, and from 11 to 12, they did this. And I'm going to try to see how after spring break I can get as close to his schedule as possible, but it's still not going to be reasonable because I have to have a schedule for my students and my availability. So finding that balance is going to be that tricky part, because we were asked to have office hours for our kids. We were asked to have a time slot for students per period where they can contact their teachers, or where you can host a meeting with them as well. So it's going to be interesting to figure that out.
Yeah. So have all of your students pretty much contacted you? Like, have all of them logged into Google Classroom?
They have logged in. They haven't done much, but I think for the most part, I know that they're there. I did have a day where I have to reach out to a lot of students via phone. And it's funny to find out that a lot of the numbers don't work that are on Synergy, or how you call a phone number thinking it's the parent and it's actually the student because they put their number there just in case school needs to contact them. I mean, those are seniors, right? And then I did speak to parents, and I thought it was very interesting that they were just very excited to hear a voice of a school official. You know, I spoke to a grandma, a mom, or two moms, and you can see that they had some kind of some solace in the voice of a teacher. Like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm talking to somebody from school. And I had they asked me some questions, some that I could answer and some that I couldn't. And a lot of them, some of the parents were, what's going to happen with graduation? And I still don't know. And, you know, those senior parents are also grieving. They had an expectation. And a lot of our students are first generation high school graduates, at least from here. And I'm pretty sure that those are accomplishments every parent would want to see. So I did contact a few students. I'm not going to lie, that first student that answered the call, my voice kind of cracked when I had to say, hey, this is Ms. Lopez. Just hearing their voice was, I don't know, it was really weird. And we kind of talked about different things. And so hearing their voices, some of them was good. But I'm hoping that after spring break, they're a lot more open and engaged. The grading policy has gone out. So I think we are going to have a lot of students that are going to make those decisions of whether they want to do something or not, you know, because there are some legalities in that MOU that was written, and seems like students are going to have a choice within their 6 periods of where they really want to work and where they really want to improve their grade. And if they're kind of set with what they have, they might just chill for some classes, you know. And
yeah, so the students got this letter saying, you know, what the policy is, or is it just send it out to
I'm
teachers?
not sure if it was sent out at home, but it is in our district website. It is at our school website. Obviously the meeting was held last Thursday for us teachers to come to an understanding of what that letter was, or is, and how we're going to move forward. And it's harmless grading, as they call it. And, but I hope that, excuse me, even though we're not physically in school, I hope a lot of our students can just have that mindset that, you know what, I still have an obligation regardless.
Yeah.
I still have to be responsible regardless. I still have to try my best regardless, because I mean, we're all in a different circumstance, you know? I mean, I can't just hide behind my door and say like, hey, yeah, school year's over. I have obligations too, here at home, at work, as a wife, as a mother, as a teacher. And I hope students are encouraged to have that same mindset. Like, you know what, I'm home. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I want to do, but I should do it because that's what I'm responsible for doing. And Mr. Nunez in his interview also said it well, that, I mean, it's for a lot of our students who are going to move on to that college setting, this is a reality. You don't have a schedule. I mean, once you graduate from high school, I mean, literally the day after graduation, your life changes. You don't have to wake up at a certain hour. You don't have to be at a certain hour on certain days. It's like you have this flexibility. And a lot of students either succeed or fail with that flexibility because they know how to manage their time and be successful. And then a lot of students just don't. And then your schedule changes when you're at school. You got to go to school at different hours on different days. Some of our students do online classes. So this is a little bit of a real world kind of post-graduation setting, which they should take advantage of, because, I mean, it's going to be an adjustment for them too when they go out there starting in August.
Yeah. We mentioned that with Jesus and also with Ms. Rodriguez, that, you know, it's giving them a sense of responsibility to, you know, they're deciding whether they really want to take this serious and, you know, learn and be ready for the next step, or, you know, just not be prepared for, you know, what's coming. Because like you said, especially those seniors, you know, they're, you know, I remember, you know, graduating from high school and like you make up your own schedule when you go to IVC, but there's nobody there to tell you like, oh, you know, why didn't you show up today? You know, they'll just drop you. So it's a good way to kind of like measure the, you know, how to manage your time, how to do work without people, you know, being behind you like, hey, you know, do this, do that. You're behind here or whatnot, because that's a reality. You know, once you go to a college or university, you know, teachers don't care. They have a lot more students that, you know, they need to work with, and it's not their responsibility to, you know, be on top of you 100% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's nobody out there that's going to hold you accountable for anything. Even if you decide not to go to school and to the workforce, I mean, you get there late a couple of times, your boss is just going to let you go, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Something that it's kind of unique to you and, you know, also to your daughter is that, you know, softball season was just beginning. You know, how are you guys dealing with that?
Well, when we first got the announcement, I think even all of us coaches throughout the Valley, because I remember it was March 16, that Monday, where Coach Ricky and came to my classroom, the baseball coach, and we kind of were just speaking about, well, what's going to happen, right? Because they did set out a rule whether you can have contact with students or not, whether you can hold practice, and it seemed that at that point, the last week that we were at school, every school district throughout the county was doing something different. And Calexico kind of adopted the no contact, no practice, no anything with your team. And at other sites, they were still traveling. One school was still traveling to games, and our kids were like, hey, well, what the heck? Like, why are things going about one way at our site? And some kids can finish the week. But then everything rolled over. I think we kind of set a trend early, our school district, where like no contact, I'm not being in the facilities. But when we left, we said, okay, kids, follow precaution. This seems that this is going to be the rules by April 20th. And when we still left, I was in contact with our athletic director, and we were kind of optimistic that they were going to find a way to to revamp the schedule. I even talked to the tennis coach, Javier, and he said, I'm wondering if they're going to do like this round robin tournament. I think everyone was optimistic that we were going to salvage part of the spring season. And well, that's not the case. And it was very hard on a lot of our athletes, especially the senior athletes. You're not going to come back to play for the school. Not only that, but for some senior athletes, that was your last game. Was literally your last game. Some of them are not going to play the sport again. For their teammates, it was hard. You're at a loss because you're imagining that this season is going to go, you might go this far based on the people that are there, based on the vibe of the team. And it just got dismantled. And and it was funny because we were going to go to a spring tournament right before spring break. So our departure would have been April 8th on Wednesday. And I guess the girls were joking around, kind of like, have you packed your bags? Because we would be leaving. Some of the parents also reached out like, hey, we would have been there. My coach, my assistant coach, we talked about like, man, we would have been at this tournament. So, I mean, it's been a loss as well. And we know, I mean, you played sports at school. I played sports at school. For some kids, that's everything. Just their involvement in school is very important, and that kind of keeps them going. I think the team had a lot to look forward this year. They had worked really hard. A lot of the girls during the off season, and we were gonna compete. So every year you're at a drawing board, right? In the off season, like, hey, this is what it's gonna look like. But this off season is gonna be completely different because you're going to lose players, but not only that, but the players that stayed behind had no growth. They're a season without experience. Yeah. And so they're at a loss. It's another year of not playing. So, I mean, it's going back and figuring things out and see how you can make the team better when we come back.
And your daughter's a sophomore?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. How's she taking the...
Well, the first, I want to say the first 2 days was like, oh yeah, we're out, right? We're out of school. We got an earlier break. And then it did hit her. I think she was even like angry. She was upset that like her attitude changed in the house in the sense where she was just more quiet. And then just one day she came out really, really upset. And it's like, our season is over, Mom. Like it's just over. Like we don't have anything. I wanted to play with these seniors. We had this plan. Our team camaraderie felt like this, and it's no longer there. So she was very frustrated. And I mean, we told her to transfer that frustration to something else. And I mean, she's working out here at home. My 7th grader was going to try out for the basketball team. And it was going to be her first time trying out for basketball. I mean, she's gone to our recreational clinics here and there, but it's like, Mom, like I didn't get to try out for 7th grade basketball. And now in 8th grade, I'm going to expect to play a certain way, but I didn't even play in 7th grade. So that I'm dealing with. And my 5-year-old was going to play on a t-ball team. And he didn't understand why t-ball was over. He's like, why is it over? And tell my coach, when are we going to play? And where's our uniform and stuff like that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So if there are any of your students or students in general listening or watching, is there something that you would like to tell them?
I often usually tell my students that in life there's no regrets, right? Everything that we experience is an experience, good or bad. And there's always a lesson to be learned in whatever it is that we go through. Sometimes that lesson is really clear immediately. And sometimes it takes a while to figure out why things had to happen the way they did. And as much as like the seniors can be hearing this and they could say like, hey, you know what, it's easy for her to say because it's not her graduation, it's not her prom, it's not her grad night. Because I have had these conversations where they said the cool stuff is in spring. And that's true. I mean, you have football season, you have homecoming. This year we had the CIF championship of basketball and the girls IVL basketball that was often celebrated in the winter. But the cherry on top for the seniors is spring, right? Mm-hmm. Even senior ditch day, as they say that they plan, you know. And I know it's not me living that experience, and I know that it's hard for them, but there's a reason for everything. And we have to take experiences and learn from it. I think the worst part in life is experience something and never growing from it. I think everything that happens to us, we have to grow one way or another. It has to make us better. And if it didn't make us better, then we kind of failed to learn from that lesson. And I mean, there's lessons within homes, there's individual lessons, there's global lessons that this pandemic is teaching everyone. And I just want to tell them to be strong. They can be frustrated, but nothing good is going to come out of being frustrated. Now, I'm not going to say like they should be happy. They're allowed to feel whatever they want to feel. They're allowed to be sad. They're allowed to be angry. They're allowed to be upset. I did have messages like, why us, Ms. Lopez? Like, why did this happen to us? And clearly I have no answer. But the growth from this, there has to be something positive that comes out of them by experience this, you know, whether they're going to look back at this a couple of years from now. And I mean, just adults, like we were speaking, a couple of teachers, how we see a lot of students, the trend is the idolization of social media, whether it's YouTubers, whether it's artists, whatever it is, you know, there's this, I mean, I used to teach in an era where people say like, oh, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, I want to be a cop. And then it shifted like, I want to be a blogger, a YouTuber, and then I want to do this. And so the shift on the idolization of what kids really like has shifted. And I think this has grounded us a little bit too as a society, and the teaching of what matters is what's within your four walls. And that's your family, your house, your home, whatever you make of it, you know. It has slowed us down as much as we hate it, but we have to find the value in how life's being slower sometimes is a lot more valuable. It's kind of, I don't know, staring at a blank canvas, right? And how what am I going to draw for my life after this pandemic? I kind of think like, what path am I going to take? What change am I going to make? And I think that's for all of us, not just students.
Yeah, it's like having starting a new chapter. You know, it's blank slate from here on. Mm-hmm. Well, what a better way to finish. It's a beautiful message. Thank you for taking this time, and really appreciate it. Like I've been telling people, you know, I've been doing this for people to see, you know, what teachers are doing, you know, for the students to see their, you know, your teachers. But at the same time, it's a good way for me to reach out and see how my friends are doing. And I'm glad you guys are doing fine. Say hi to Juan. Yeah. Thank you again for taking this time off and, you know, chatting with me. I know it's spring break. You should be at the beach or something, but thank you for taking the time off. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you guys for
definitely. And I just want to tell everyone to stay strong, stay safe. I don't want to finish this podcast with giving my condolences to all of our students. We did suffer a loss. We did have our strength training coach and our substitute teacher, Zach, who passed away when right early during this pandemic. Students were hurting as well. So my condolences to students and family who are hearing. And thank you to all the frontline workers, as you said, and also thank you to our administration at the district level, even our union president, Mr. Taylor, they've all been working really well together and trying to make the best out of this situation because nobody's lived it, you know. And I think that from the cafeteria workers, everyone, the tech department giving our kids tech devices, I think everyone has stepped up and unified, as we called it, and for the betterment of our community. So I wanted to give a little shout out to everyone as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
No, you're welcome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Make sure you wash your hands and stay at home, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.